Hello and welcome to Reader's Retreat. I'm Paul, and this is what's going into the TBR jar. I did a video earlier talking about my TBR jar. As you can see, there ain't that many in there, but there's what it is. I might have to get my sister to redo it because she's the one that did that in the first place for me. But every time I put one, two or three in here, I'm gonna shake it up. But I'm not gonna write them down tonight. I'm just going to show you the books that is in there first, and then the books that I'm going to be putting in there. By the time I'm done, that jar should be full. Like I said in my video, I have been reading, and I'm hoping this will kick me in because I got The Stand to read. I got The Witch with No Name to read by Kim Harrison. And then after I get done with The Stand, I'm going to pick up Catwoman by Sarah A. Moss. And then when I get done with The Witch with No Name, I'm going to be picking up the third book in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King called The Wastelands. Now those are going to be read before I draw anything out of the jar. But I'm also reading. I just got done with Tomb of Dracula, so that was good. And I mean, that was real good. That was probably the seventh time that I read Tomb of Dracula, and then I got the Captain America to read and the JSA Prince of Darkness. So 9 times out of 10, I probably read the graphic novels first, but I'm going to try to get into the Stephen King and the Witch with No Name also, because graphic novels is very easy for me to read. I can usually read a thick one in one setting. So we'll see. And it's just going to be really, really good, I believe. So I'm scrolling down here. I need to do that. Bring that up. Okay. So anyway, let's get this started, shall we? The first one of the books that's in that TBR jar is by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, Mexican Gothic. And this sounds really, really good. I mean, honestly, when I first bought it, I thought it was a collection of short stories. But since there ain't nothing in there saying so, I'm going to take it as a novel. Now, another book that's in the jar already is Ted Decker's 3. And I'm not reading the synopsis or nothing because I got a lot of books to go through tonight on this live. And that's why I'm doing the video, because this is going to be a long haul. That's for sure. So 3 is the other one. Then we got The Splendid and the Vile by Eric Larson. And I've been wanting to read this. I mean, it is a saga of Churchill family and defiance during the Blitz. So I'm really looking forward to this. Then the next one is by Tad Williams. This is the first book of the second series, and this is the series, the Last King of Oskinard, and it's the Witchwood Crown. I've had this for a while. I have been on my TBR for a while, but hopefully, if I draw it, I'll get it done this year. And the thing is, I'm gonna draw like 2 books at a time. That way, I have one I'm reading, and then the one that's waiting to be read, and then the one when I start on the one that's ready, I choose 2 more. Now, here is I'm going to call this a classic because it really is. Frank Herbert really did a good job. They say I've never read it. I'm looking forward to reading it, and and that is Dune. I'm hoping I can get into it. I'm hoping I enjoy it. I am trying to collect all the Dune books and go from there. Okay. Now we're going into the softbacks. Okay. The softbacks we have that's already in the jar. I wish I could set it right here. See if we can see it. Okay, that goes in that jar. Is the Bone Shaker, Sherry Priest. This is already in the jar and ready to be picked. And I'm really looking forward to that. Then we have by Robert Brinsda or something like that. Sorry if I ruined your name. It's a Detective Erica Foster novel, and it is called The Night Stalker. And it sounds really interesting. It sounds like it could be a mystery. Sounds like it could be a thriller, but it sounds like it will be a great book to read. Then we got the second series of Joe Ledger, and this is, of course, by Jonathan Mayberry. I've never read none of his works. Now, if I enjoy this, I'm going to go and get the other series before this and read it. Then I'll get the rest of this series. And if I like his writing, I might even get Patient Zero to see how that is. So we'll see if he becomes one of my favorite authors or not. And this is Rage. So there's a lot weighing on this book right here. Then I got Andrew Piper. And it says Piper could be the next Stephen King. That's what National Post says. And we will soon find out. Because once it gets picked, I'll read it, and it's called The Only Child. So we'll see how good of a writer he is. And I'll let you know. I'm just hoping that they ain't saying that he could be the next Stephen King, because he draws it out and describes stuff that doesn't even matter, like Stephen King does. But I'm hoping this is a good book, and this is a forensic science. Dr. Lady Tommy is a forensic psychiatrist. But up here in red, it says, what if your father wasn't who he said he was? What if you carried secrets within your blood? So, The Only Child. Now, the last of the softbacks that's in that jar right there is by Helen Marshall, and that's The Migration. Been looking forward to reading this ever since I got it. I love the Deco Edges. Some people don't like Deco Edges, but I love Deco Edges. Maybe because I grew up in the time of Deco Edges. There was a lot of books back in the day that had it. So, and the last two is mass market paperbacks. That's in the jar, and it's the Hangman's Law. And the loose of them are high lonesome. So there's two of them right there. So what I'm going to do with these though is I'm going to put them right here. And I'm trying to keep it in. I'm trying to keep the hardbacks, paperbacks, and the graphic and the mass market paperbacks separate. Now the thing is, uh, these two is the only two. The two westerns are the only two mass market paperbacks that I have besides the Witch with No Name that's on. Well, actually, it's the only two that's on. That's going to be in the jar. Let's put it that way. So, and uh, until and thing is, I can't put no more in this jar until I read until it goes empty. I'm gonna read it until it's empty. That way, I read every book that's in this jar. Uh, and nothing. Hey, Judy, how you doing, hon? And nothing that's good. And so we'll see. Now the books I'm going to talk about now is books I still need to write down and put in the jar. So we're going to start with this pile. The first one's by Larry McMurtry, and it's Boonslick. And it is a Western. And so we'll see how that is. Then we have Vanessa Scott's Dream Ships. I've never read nothing by Vanessa Scott. I'm not real big on sci-fi, so I am hoping that I enjoyed this, and I'm hoping this will get me into more sci-fi. Because from what I understand, there's great sci-fis out there ready to be read. And no, I am not talking about Star Wars. I would never read a Star Wars book because I do not like Star Wars at all. Now, if the company paid me, say $1 million, yeah, I'll read a Star Wars book, just one. Good. Glad to hear that, Judy. This one's by Richard Buckman, which is, if you know your books, you know Richard Buckman has wrote a lot of books with Stephen King. And this is Blaze. And right now I'm just saying everything that I'm going to be writing down and sticking in the jar for later. I already told you what's already in the jar. Now I'm telling you what's going to be in the jar. This is by Bat Humphreys. Dead Weight. It is I'm pretty sure it's a mystery. But I can tell you more after I read it. And it takes place in Charleston, South Carolina, which is right down the road from me. So that'll be interesting. Then we have a book that's been on my forever, ever since I got it, TBR, and it's Anne Rice, Christopher Rice, Ramses the Damned, The Passion of Cleopatra. And like I said, I am going to go through that whole jar of books before I can pick any other books out. That way, I mean, that's why there's such a variety. Then we got a thriller, I'm going to say, and I'm just going to say the first and last name of this guy because the two names he has in, it might be two people writing this. No, it's one. And this is by, I'm going to try to say his name, David Heska Wembley Whiten. And it is Winter Counts. And that, yep, that is a buffalo on the cover. So I'm interested in see what that's about. Then we have one, and it's about a classic writer, but this time he's inside the book. And this is wrote by Laurie Hanlon, and this has been on my TBR forever. And this is Shakespeare Undead. This is about Shakespeare being a vampire. Then we have a book. I love the cover. I love this cover and the book is by Stephen Lloyd. I don't know who. I don't know if they say who. Okay, jacket design, Erica Chili or something like that. Sorry about that, Erica. I messed up your name. And the man that's on the cover is Paul Gooney. And it might be about archangels. I'm not sure. But the name of it is Friend of the Devil. But I love that cover. That cover is what made me buy it. Right there. I seen that cover and I fell in love with it. Then we got a book by T. Kingfisher, and it's called The Twisted Ones. This has been on my TBR forever, but there it is. I know, baby girl. My dog is yelling at me because she wants to be up here, and she up here on my lap, and she can't be up here on my lap right now. No, my baby can't be up here on Daddy's lap. Anyway, then I read the first book of this. The first book was called Awaken. It's by James S. Murray and Darren Weirmouth. And I enjoyed the first book, so I picked up the second book, Obliteration. So I really can't wait to get in that. And then we have Laurel K. Hamilton's book, Sucker Punched. It's a Anita Blake book. And I've heard a lot of great things about Anita Blake. I heard about great things about comics. I heard the stories was great in anime. But this is my first time to dive into the Anna Blake world. Then another one that's going to be going in there. It's another thickie. And this is by Jay Kristoff. And it is Empire of the Vampire. And this just looks good. Love that cover. And it's okay, baby girl. You'll be back up here when Daddy's done. Then we go to Rebecca Ross. And this is a fantasy, A River Enchanted. And to tell you the truth, I have stopped buying books. I haven't bought a book in a long time because I do need to catch up on books. So it's been a long time. Then we got another Kim Harrison book. And this is Something Deadly This Way Comes. And the cover could be better. I can say that much. The cover could be better for what this one is supposed to be about. And on the back, it says, Killer prays for Once Dead, Twice Shy. That's the first book, Once Dead, Twice Shy. But this is the second book, and it's the only one I've found. So I'm going to read it and see if I want to try to look up the first book and any book after that. And then, I believe this used to be an anime story. I'm trying to find a picture. Right there's a picture. And this is called Vampire Hunter D. And it's the main book title, I guess, is Bedeviled Stagecoach. And it's done by a Japanese writer, Hideyuki Kikuchi or something like that. And I'm sorry if I slaughtered that name. I probably did. And I'm looking forward to it. I've never read anything. Honestly, I never read anything, I don't think, by a Japanese author. Especially a book that was done originally over in Japan, I believe. Then another one that's been on my TBR for a while, this one to go in jar, which is by Karen Dion. And I think I pronounced her name correctly. If not, I'm sorry. The Marsh King's Daughter. And it's going to be a thriller / mystery, or you might be able to call it a mystery thriller or something like that. But I'm looking forward to it. Then we have a book by Brendan Deneen. This has been on my TBR before, and I never got to it. And this is called The Chrysalis. And I do like that cover. No, me, that's probably another cover by, because I've never heard of the author. This was another cover by Nick Matatis or something like that. And this is Sabbath. And this is about a warrior from the medieval times that gets yanked. After he dies, he gets put back on Earth in our time. Then this is a book of short stories. But it is done all by the same author. So I decided to put it in with this. And this is by Paul Tremblay, Growing Things. I've never read nothing by Paul Tremblay. And so I'm looking forward to it because people says he's a great writer. Like I said, I've never read nothing, but I'm always open-minded to new authors. Then we got a very thin book, and this is The Murder in the Midlands, and it is about Larry Gene Bell and the 20 Days of Terror that shook South Carolina. It is a true crime, and this is going to be going into the jar as well. It's okay, baby. Then one of my favorite authors is right here, Dean Koontz, Life Expectancy. He is one of my favorite authors, and I just like his work. I like his work better than Stephen King's. Let's put it that way. Even though I do enjoy Stephen King's, I got all of Stephen King's. This one is by John Soule, another great author, The Devil's Labyrinth. And yes, this has been on my TBR before, but I never got around to it. Sometimes I get busy, people. Now, this is by Stephen King and Owen King. And with that said, you already know what it is if you know your books. This is Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauties. And this is going to be going in the jar as well. And we'll see how this goes. But like I said in the video, I'm not doing readathons no more for a while. I'm not saying I would never do readathons again. I'm saying right now I'm not doing readathons, at least for the rest of this year. We'll see about next year. Now here's a tricky one. And when I put this one in the jar, I'm just going to put the author's name on it. Because this is 3 novels in one, and it's by John Soule. Sorry. And the novels are called Brainchild, Nathaniel, and The God Project. So right there is, it's 3 books in one, but I am going to be reading it. And when I pick it, I'm just going to have the name John Soule on it and just read the whole thing. Some people might have just put down one of the one of the books, but I'm just going to read the whole thing, and that way, I'm not going back to the same book twice. So this is another Dean Koontz. This is called The City, and as you can see, it is a signed copy. No, I did not get it signed. That's the way I bought it, already signed, and but it is signed. That's the main thing. And right there's the signature. And then we have almost done, people. Almost done. We have a Theater Adams book. And this is, I get some of my books from Book of the Month Club. This is The Last Word. Sometimes they have some interesting books, and sometimes they don't. So I don't buy it all the time. I don't buy every book from every month, because there's some books that just don't sound good to me. Then we have this one, TBR again. This has been on my TBR. F. Paul Wilson. Now, this is part of the Repairman Jack series. I never read none of the Repairman Jack series. I have read F. Paul Wilson before, and I enjoyed his work. And this is The Sword. So, then this is another person I've never read before, and it is fantasy. It's by Carol Berg, and that's Ash and Silver. Again, this has been on my TBR before, but now, since I'm doing the jar, I cannot I cannot pass it up this time, and that's why I'm doing the jar. Because there's sometimes I go, oh, I want to read, and then I go, nah, let's pick up this book. Then this time I have to read what I pick out. This one here is by the awesome Kathy Reichs, and it's Tempest Brennan novel, and it's Cold, Cold Bones. It's one of the newer ones. I believe it came out this year or last year. Let me make sure. I hate when people guess with a book in their hand and get the date wrong, and I don't want to be one of those people. Yes, it came out this year, and this is the first edition, looks like. So, Cold, Cold Bone. Bones. Sorry. It's cold, cold bones, not bone. Cold, cold bones. Sorry. Then, this has been on the TBR before, and it is by Micaiah Johnson, The Space Between Worlds. And there it is. You can turn it this way. That's one world, right side up. And then that's another world, right side up. And then when one world's right side up, the other world's upside down. So, and this sounds awesome. And I will read the back of this to you. My mother used to say, I was born reaching, which is true. She also used to say, it will get me killed, which it hasn't. Not yet, anyway. So, and then another book of the month club pick, and I'm not real sure if I'm going to enjoy it or not, but I'm going to give it my darndest, and it is by Rosie Walsh, Ghosted. Then again, we have another Stephen King coming up. And this one here, I honestly picked it up because this is about it's called 11/22/63. I was born in 63, and 3 months before this happened, or around that way, I was almost 3 months old when JFK was assassinated. And like I said, the title of it is 11/22/63. I'm looking forward to it. It's about they say it's about time travel trying to stop the assassination. Then we have another Stephen King book. Some people likes it, some people don't, and I'm going to read it and find out. I think I've seen the movie about this, which is Dreamcatcher. And I love that. I love that cover. Awesome cover. And then, hey Vin, what's up? Okie dokie. I'll be sad to see you go, bud. This is by Adrian Tchaikovsky or something like that. It's called Shards of Earth. And I'm not sure if it's fantasy or sci-fi. It's a British sci-fi. This is a British sci-fi. I never read his work before, so let's see how this works. Like I said, I'm trying to get more into sci-fi too. I'm not really involved with sci-fi that much. I read a few, liked very few of them, and stuff like that. Okay, then. You shouldn't let it depress you so much. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's just a short live for me to show you what's going to be going into the TBR jar for me to pick. And like I said, once I start writing these down on pieces of paper, I'll put 2 or 3 in here, and then I'll just shake it up good. Put 2 or 3 more in here, shake it up real good, and stuff like that. So it all gets mixed up really, really good. I might even, after I fill it up, pour it out into a bowl, mix it real good, and just put it in by the handfuls. So we'll see. But it's getting late or early, however you want to say it. It is 3:30 a.m. my time, and I'm getting kind of sleepy. But I wanted to do this so you all can have something to see. So I hope y'all liked it. Hope y'all enjoyed it, and we will be talking to you later. Like I said, my dog was on my lap. Thank you, B. So that's my. I mean, the dog wants him up on my lap, so I'm gonna have to cut this off anyway, so I can move stuff, so my baby can come up here in my lap and go to sleep. Hey, ain't that right? You think we're gonna go sleep in the chair tonight, ain't we? You're my baby. Yeah, yeah. She's a beautiful baby girl. Okay, you all take care, and I will be seeing you all around. And sorry I haven't been on much here uh, on this channel, but I've been going through a lot of stuff in life. I we're working outside more. I mean, I'm busy last part of spring up to the first part of fall. So I hope you all forgive me, and I hope you all have a good day. Vinny, just meditate, take a deep breath, and go on with your life, bud. Until later, you all have a good day. You too, hon.